Hey everybody, happy Friday. Alan Weber from the Mayor's Office on a beautiful, sunny, warm spring day in Santa Fe. Glad you're with me and hope you're doing well, hope you're safe, hope you're healthy, hope you're staying home. Let's do the numbers again to start with. Got a lot of papers here to keep me up to date. Yesterday, total cases for Santa Fe County, because our health emergency is our number one priority still. We went from 93 to 96, so 3 new cases. Yesterday, 3 new cases. The day before that, 5. So for the week, we're actually trending up, not down. The week before, we had 0, 2, 1, 1, 2. This week, we're looking at 1, 3, 2, 5, 3. So we're staying low, but we're trending the wrong way. That tells me we have not yet, in spite of newspaper reports and other data, I don't think we've really hit the peak of the infection. I think we are doing better. I think Santa Fe County is doing extremely well overall. But we can't relax, we can't get complacent. The bad news, the tragic news is in New Mexico yesterday we recorded 7 more deaths from the COVID-19 virus. That brings the state to 78 overall. Yesterday, 169 new cases, many of them, most of them in the northwest corner of New Mexico. And I know the governor spoke to that in her press conference, that there are hot spots. Overall, she sees great progress, and I think that's true, but we have not yet achieved that level of flattening the curve so we can assume that we're on the other side of the hump. For that reason, I'm going to hold up my mask again. If you go out this weekend in beautiful Santa Fe weather, you're on a trail, you're biking, you're walking your dog, keep the dog on the leash, keep the mask on your face. Make sure that you wash your hands before you go out. Keep hand sanitizer with you. Make sure that anything you do where you're in contact with another person, you are taking precautions to stay safe and to stay healthy. This coming week, let's trend down with our numbers. Let's keep safe. Let's not get complacent. Let's not get to the point where we think we've won this battle with the coronavirus. Okay, other important news. Yesterday I announced a contest to see who in Santa Fe or in New Mexico was in that Life magazine article 50 years ago on the first Earth Day wearing a beret, and we had a winner who correctly identified my friend Arturo Sandoval as the New Mexican who is at the forefront of Earth Day. And so once we get information, we'll be sending an incredibly valuable prize to the winner who did their homework, looked it up on the web, I assume, did a little Googling around and came up with Arturo's name. We also ought to send a shout out to Arturo. He was a visionary. He still is a visionary down in Albuquerque, helping people across the state. But 50 years ago, he was at the forefront of the environmental movement, of the ecological movement, proclaiming Earth Day so that we could all try to preserve planet Earth. We still have that battle going on. Even as we focus on the coronavirus, we really can't lose track of climate change and the need to contend with all of these simultaneously. The issues in front of us right now really remind us that we are all in it together, that these are system-related issues, and we have to work on these systems together. We have to fight the coronavirus, solve our economic crisis, take care of planet Earth, take care of our whole community, look after the most vulnerable members of our community, and be generous, compassionate, and kind. Speaking of generous, compassionate, and kind, I want to do another big shout out for the upcoming virtual festival, Virtual Lemonade. a great festival that's coming up. I can't tell you the details of the date when it will hit the web, but there'll be musicians, filmmakers, short films, performances. Some of the confirmed performers include my friend Brian Hardgroove, formerly of Public Enemy, Daniel Rossen of Grizzly Bear, Hakeem Bellamy, poet extraordinaire, actors, musicians, and there will be a fundraising component. A chunk of that money will go to the Santa Fe Connect Fund, which our community services team, Kira Ochoa and her great group, have stood up to offer individual help to people in our community who are going through really hard times right now. So keep your eyes and ears open for lemonade. You know, when they give you lemons, make lemonade. And so this festival will be a virtual festival and a fundraiser for our community. It's part of the Connect program. More than 100 ambassadors across Santa Fe and Santa Fe County fanning out to give people help and support during this time when there's so much stress, so many people trying to deal with losing their jobs, being laid off, suddenly discovering that our tourism economy is fragile when planes don't fly, people can't come, festivals are called off. We end up with a lot of people out of work, a lot of people facing bills they can't pay, expenses they are hard put to figure out how to deal with. We want to try to reach out and help those folks. So Lemonade and the Connect Fund are making a big difference. Other people who need our support are our first responders. And there is a new hotline for our healthcare workers and first responders who find themselves dealing with these extraordinary circumstances on the front line, helping people who have the coronavirus or who fear the coronavirus will take them down. And then our first responders get out there and they themselves have to contend with the after effects of all of these stressful and highly emotional situations. If you know somebody who is a first responder who could use some help, somebody to talk to, a professional counselor, 855-507-5509. 855-507-5509 helps to deal with some of the hard emotional impact of the physical health crisis that we're all going through. It's a great idea to make sure that our first responders have the support they need while they give all the rest of us the support that we need. Meanwhile, city government continues to try to deliver. We're open in so many different ways. We are on the front lines still, making life better for people across Santa Fe. And one of the things that I always try to check in on is what's happening with our Spring Blitz for Safe Streets. Our police officers have been out working hard in different main streets in the city, St. Michael's, Cerrillos, St. Francis, because it would be a severe tragedy to survive the coronavirus but have traffic accidents create fatalities in everyday life. That would be really a sad outcome. So they've been making traffic stops between April 3 and April 16, 172 traffic stops, 248 citations issued, 14 verbal warnings. If you were doing something and you're truly able to explain why you had to have that situation, they'll let you off with a warning. 4 arrests and some citizen complaints. 4 citizen complaints handled. Our police out there making sure we're safe not only from the coronavirus, but also making sure that we pay attention to driving within the speed limit, not using our cell phones, not texting, being very mindful that in these health crisis times, we don't want to make matters worse by speeding, texting, talking on the phone. So be aware that the spring blitz has been going on, and we really want you to be safe. Something else that's going on that's kind of fun, April 25th, mini seed libraries. You know, the season for gardening and planting is here, but the seeds are harder to get your hands on. Typically, the seeds have been available through the libraries, but with the libraries closed, there's a new program, Improvise, Innovate, Find New Solutions. The Santa Fe Extension Master Gardeners, in partnership with Santa Fe Public Libraries, are creating free mini seed libraries, representative selections of seeds that were going to be distributed at the seed library at the Southside branch. But with the library closed now, we're having to improvise, come up with a new solution, and the mini seed library locations starting April 25th through June 15th, the county fairgrounds, 3229 Rodeo Road outside the White Gate, Saturdays 9 to 5, and the Southside Library still, but not inside, under the portal, Saturdays and Sundays 9 to 5. So if you're interested in planting, if you want to get out and work with your hands and get your garden going, this is a great time to do it. The seeds will be available. Few other things to call to your attention. A great big shout out to our friends at the Food Depot, distributing more than 3,000 food parcels every weekend, and they've done a great job working with Rich Brown and Economic Development and all the partners, all the volunteers. I got a great email yesterday from a Santa Fe resident saying, how can I volunteer? This is a time when I'm willing to put on my mask, put on gloves, be safe, use hand sanitizers, practice social distancing, but I want to volunteer. Food Depot needs volunteers. So does our program at Midtown, where we're continuing to house and shelter people who are experiencing homelessness. That's an opportunity to make a difference there. We'll be adding more volunteer opportunities going forward. One of the most critical ones is for our senior citizens. A lot of folks who are living in nursing homes or in senior citizen residences, and they feel isolated, they feel forgotten. The visiting hours have been eliminated, but you can still visit on the phone. You can still reach out and tell somebody, I know you're there, I know you're making it, I care about you. So volunteerism is alive and well in Santa Fe for all of us, whether it's with the homeless folks, whether it's the Food Depot, whether it's helping with calling other folks who may be in distress. They need some help, they need somebody to make that essential trip to the grocery store or the pharmacy. That's where Santa Fe's big heart makes such a big difference. We're continuing to have success at the Midtown campus, housing people, keeping them safe, testing so far, knock wood, all the tests are negative. There is one person now in residence in a separate part at Midtown who has tested positive, but they're not in the part where the people who are experiencing homelessness are living. They're in a separate part of the campus that we've worked with the Department of Health and Christus to have a little isolation ward where people can go through the process of the disease, get medical care, medical attention, come out safely on the other side. An important thing I need to brief you on is the state of the city finances. Now, this is where the hard times we're in really take a bite out of city government and our employees. The hard truth of the matter is we are $46 million in the hole, and we have to find that $46 million between now and the end of June in order to balance the city's books. We're doing everything we can to minimize the impact on our employees and on the services that we deliver to you, but it's hard to find $46 million without making cuts. So we started with the obvious cuts where we could. We stopped filling empty jobs. We have about 250 vacancies across the city, and there is a freeze on those hires unless it's a public safety issue or an emergency issue. We're using good common sense to evaluate, are there special exceptions where a hire will make a difference to keep everybody safe? Because public safety is our #1 priority. Secondly, we're freezing spending. If there's a contract that we can defer, we'll defer it, we'll delay it, we'll stretch out the payments, we'll do everything we can to squeeze the dollars we've got to get the most out of them. We're putting a cap, or trying to end completely, overtime payments. We really need to conserve those dollars, and so if we don't have to do overtime, we won't do overtime. And finally, as a last resort, we're dealing with furloughs. Now, furloughs are different than layoffs. Layoffs, you are given a pink slip. It's hard, it's harsh, and it's absolute. And I know that many of our residents in Santa Fe who have worked in our hospitality industry, our hotels, our restaurants, and even some of our nonprofits where there's less work to do, have sadly and harshly been given a pink slip. But that's what a business has to do to keep itself afloat. It has to give out that pink slip. The city, we're trying to take very small incremental steps to do the least amount of harm, the least amount of pain that we can do, and to spread it across our entire city. So everybody from me as mayor, the city manager, all of our department heads, on down, 2 of our city council members have volunteered to take a furlough, a 4-hour-a-week furlough. That is a minimum cut to the least extent we can do. Apparently, before I became mayor, this was done back in 07, 08, when there was the Great Recession, and people made it through. The big difference then, I'm told by AFSCME, our Public Employees Union, was in 07, 08, none of the managers took that 4-hour furlough. It was just the workforce. So this year, this time, in these circumstances, it's everybody. There's another cut, another furlough that goes deeper, and that's for people in our city government, our employees, who are working in buildings that are closed or functions that we no longer perform. An example would be, we no longer enforce parking meters. We just put a plastic bag on top of all those meters. And so we have workers who've done nothing wrong. They're not bad workers. We have a bad situation. We have a bad circumstance. We have a bad health crisis. And so we really aren't enforcing those parking meter laws anymore. People who are in those jobs are getting a deeper amount of furlough, 16 hours. It is a minimal amount of pain, but it's still pain. It is an attempt to share it across all parts of the government, but it hurts. And it's probably the hardest thing I've had to do in my 2 years as mayor. I know everybody who works for the city, whether you're a manager in one of our departments or one of our workers on the front line, come to work every day to do their best work, to deliver services to you as our residents. And here we are, as a consequence of a global pandemic, as a consequence of a health crisis that has already cost 78 New Mexicans their lives, here we are in a financial crisis. Now, I am absolutely confident we'll make it through this crisis. We will find $46 million between now and the end of June We'll balance our books. We'll keep our bond rating, which is important and strong and healthy. We'll continue to deliver quality services to the best of our ability within these more limited resources. And we'll begin to put together a budget for next year, recognizing that things aren't going to go back to full speed ahead anytime soon. Even as we work toward a new economic recovery plan, modeling ourselves after the one the governor has announced, even after we begin to see some small openings across the city in some of our small local businesses, and we should all be supporting them, doing takeout from our local restaurants, doing whatever we can do to support our local small mom and pop businesses that are the backbone of Santa Fe's economy. Even as we do that, there's no sugarcoating the pill. It's going to be hard. Our economy will not be operating full speed ahead the way it was at the end of February. At the end of February, if you think back that short time ago, our numbers were extraordinary. We were off the charts in terms of revenue and below projections in terms of expenditures. And here we are, less than 2 months later, and we are falling off a cliff in a free fall of economic loss and a total hit to our revenues, all of which come, or 70% of which come from the gross receipts tax. So we've got to face facts. We can't keep doing what we were doing and get to the end of this fiscal year. So we've asked the City Council on Wednesday to join with me, join with our managers, join with the city manager, our finance director, our human resources director, all of whom have been working long hours to come up with a plan that will minimize the pain but save the money we have to save. Council will vote on it Wednesday. If they vote yes for this plan, we'll implement in 2 weeks those furloughs, recognizing that it's painful. It's painful for all of us. There's no joy in furloughs. But I'm looking across cities in America. This morning I looked at some other cities that are have tourism economies. Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara didn't do furloughs. They laid off with pink slips 300 city employees. So this is a national economic crisis for cities. So far, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, has said no help for cities, no help for states. He said he'd rather see cities and states go bankrupt. That's unconscionable. That is outrageous. And I've spoken to our Congressman Ben Ray Lujan, and to one of our senators, Senator Martin Heinrich, and they are fighting in the Congress for you and for us to get help for cities and states so that we don't have to lay people off, so that we don't have to furlough people, so that we don't have to reduce services that are essential for all of our residents. But at the moment, we are dealing with the brutal facts of life of a $46 million budget deficit. And it is all of our responsibility to step up and sacrifice. That's where we are. I am confident we will make it through it. The city has been through hard times before, and we always come out stronger. We always come out really with more resolve, with more creativity, with more innovation. We're already seeing that happen across Santa Fe and inside city government. The fact that we were able to stand up on the campus in Midtown in a matter of days, a shelter for some of our most vulnerable people, is exceptional. And the governor and her team have recognized what a great achievement that was. The fact that our land use department is issuing e-permits and moving forward with construction on projects that keep people working is a great piece of innovation and creativity. This city government is working in really remarkable ways to find creative solutions to hard times. And that's what will continue to happen. Even as we go forward, even as we come out of this, we will be more creative, more able to be nimble, agile, and responsive in ways we never dreamed of before. But in the meantime, we've got to deal with this financial crisis. Wednesday will be a council meeting. Please tune in. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be another virtual council meeting, so we'll be using technology to all be together while being safe and apart. Let me leave it there for this week. It has been another week of amazing activity and hard decisions, of great creativity and difficult challenges, of a community that has come together in amazing, remarkable, creative, and profoundly important ways to help feed each other, to help heal each other, to help support each other, to help look after each other. That is the heart and soul of Santa Fe. So have a very safe weekend. Please remember, we are not on the other side of this healthcare crisis by any stretch of the imagination. We're still seeing too many people exposed to the coronavirus. We're still seeing too many people in other parts of New Mexico succumb to this horrible disease. So please, as you enjoy the beautiful spring weather, as you work outside in your garden, as you go for a hike, go for a walk, go for a bike ride, please wear a mask. Please wash your hands before you go out and when you come home. Please use hand sanitizers. Practice social distancing. To the best of your ability, please stay safe, stay healthy, and please stay home. Take care. I'll see you next week.